All right, everybody, welcome. We're going to stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everybody, welcome. Kathy, welcome back. You were on vacation.
Thank you, I was.
Nice. Well,
Very far
glad
away.
to have you back. Sonny's glad to have you back.
Sonny did a great job.
Thank you, Sonny.
All right. Well, roll call when you're ready.
All right, you got it. Pugh. Harris.
Here.
McDonald.
Here.
Galogly is absent. Deskin.
Here.
Bergbauer.
Here.
Bartleson. Here. And Saban. We have a quorum.
All right, very good. It's Steve Benarsak's here to open us up.
Dear God, as we open up our city council meeting today, I just want to thank you for blessing our great city. And I just want to thank you for a good, safe canal days, and most importantly, one that no horses hurt anybody. No one get paid with flash mobs. It was a good, safe weekend. And I thank you for each council member here, each person who makes this city happen. I just ask that you would bless their work, that you would give them good wisdom and guidance for our city. Bless their families, and bless the businesses in town to thrive more. We're a growing, prosperous city. Thank you for our fire department and our police department. Thank you for how safe they've been and the jobs that they do. And I ask that you continue to keep them safe, that when they go on calls, that you would give them wisdom, guidance, and direction, and keep them safe. And bless their families. Amen and amen.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. All right, friends, you got any liaison reports?
Just real quick, summer series is in full bloom. Project in the Park are rather Friday. Well, the next one is July 7th. Canal Days went off with not too many hitches. Unfortunately, Sunday was not the best weather, but everything's going smooth.
Right on. Thank you.
Just a reminder, Mayor and Council, there'll be no council meeting on July 5th. And we wanted to just mention that there's been a lot of questions about the July 3rd fireworks. Typically, we have fireworks at Delwood Park with the partnership with the Park District and the city. And there's a little concern about the dryness and the weather that could happen. And so our contract does allow us, for certain reasons, if the fire department decides it's just unsafe, we can pick another date in the future at some point. We actually have some credits coming to us because they didn't have the fireworks at Old Canal Days this year. So we were going to kind of double them up and have a really good, send off for Matt. But at the end of the day, we don't know if we're going to have it yet. So we will make sure we communicate with the media and Facebook and everything once we know more. But it's going to probably depend on the weather and if we get some rain or not, and then let the fire department do their thing, the day or two before and make a decision, and then we'll try to get the word out.
All right, thanks. Anybody else got anything?
Just a word on the finance update. Lisa sent out a memo regarding currently 42% through our 2023 fiscal year. Hard to believe, this year is flying by. She's got no concerns. Everything is on point on, and we're doing good.
So did attend the Old Canal Days follow-up meeting with the Chamber and the Women's Club and Main Street, just everybody who's involved, the organizations, and it was good. There was some, every time you do this, you see things that can be done better, so they had some good suggestions and put some stuff out there that I think will continue to improve it. And there's some larger site development too that Lance and I had been discussing, and I floated past them today at the meeting. After their input comes back, we'll all discuss it. But it's about how to maybe get rid of that, how to deal with some of the gravel, but also keeping in mind that we have a master plan and we don't want to undermine it by doing something that really has to get torn out later. So I think Lance came up with some good ideas. But as soon as we get their feedback, I said we showed them those drawings today about how the layout works and what works for them, then we'll all talk about it. So we'll see if it's the right move. So, yeah.
I just want to thank the Lockport Police Department. They did a phenomenal job down there. I mean, there were some partying people down there and nothing got out of hand, so you guys did a great job. So appreciate all the hard work. And the Public Works Department kept the place spotless. The guys were cleaning up, cleaning up, cleaning up. Did a great job. So
Yeah.
all in all, very nice.
Yep, totally agree, man. Hey, one thing, I know we used to do our meetings, like our one-on-one meetings, before council meet at 6, which I love doing, and it's great, and I want to get that scheduled up again. One thing I wanted to float by you, though, is one of the things I used to also like doing is meeting with residents. Sometimes residents wanted to meet. I said, "Well, come at 6." And so, so I thought, I wanted to run this by you, is that if we do our meetings the first week, first meeting of the month, but we have both alder folk from the ward, so let's say it's Ward 1, we can all three meet as long as somebody posts it and says, hey, it's a Ward 1, meeting in the mayor's office. So we'll just leave the door open, anybody can come in. We do both alder folk at the same time, and then I could still leave the second meeting open door for anybody who just wants to come in, or sometimes Boy Scouts come in and want to chat or something. So if you guys are okay with that kind of arrangement, that's the way we can go about doing it. Okay, all right. And then, I was going to bring this up on our new business, but maybe just do it now. Are you guys okay with doing the suggestion Darren had about switching committee of the whole and city council? Are we on board with doing that? Just want to make sure we're,
Yeah, we'd like to implement that in August, if that's okay, because we do actually happen to have a request under new business tonight about combining, ironically, combining a petition to both committee of the whole and city council that you've seen before. It's for Lenny's Gas and Wash, but we'll talk a little bit more about those details. I guess we can talk about it now. So the petitioner, we don't have a meeting on July 5th, and so it's creating some issues with their timelines and dates to close by the end of the month, and they are asking what could we do. It certainly could be up to the council if you want to have a special meeting and we just have that one item and we pick a date between now and the end of the next month. Or we can do what we've done in the past based on the urgent need, is that we put it on both committee of the whole and city council. We talk about it at committee of the whole first, and then you ratify it and vote to approve it later that night in the same evening. I'm comfortable with it since nothing is really changing since the last time you saw it. There's a little bit of a circulation pattern that changed, but really everything else is the same. So I was comfortable with it. Lance talked about it. We asked the mayor, but it's up to the council on whether we would proceed with a double agenda on one meeting for July 19th. To keep them moving and get those guys going, or we could have a special meeting, or we could just make them wait till August, but it's up to the council, and they're not asking for any nefarious reasons or anything, so it seems to make sense to just do a double meeting if you're okay with that.
I think a double meeting is appropriate, We're going to have, a month to go ahead and look at this, and most of us, if we have questions on a Friday, we could get them answered by Tuesday, so. And just on this subject, there's nothing written in stone why we have our meetings the way we do now versus the way they were done 10 or 12 years ago. So we'll just see how it works. It should work out okay.
I think it will. I think it'd be fine. So,
Yeah, we can implement it easily. We just have to change the format in the Granicus and the templates, but it's not a problem, and we'll come in with city council on the first meeting in August, and then have committee of the whole.
and essentially just, I know you guys probably understand this, but because you're new, it just helps so that way somebody does a committee of the whole and they do a presentation and they're waiting on the decision. The next time they come in, they don't have to sit through what can sometimes be a really lengthy committee of the whole where they got to sit through everybody else's new business before we make a decision for them. So they can be first up and then take care of that, get it done, up or down votes or whatever, and then we move on to completely new business. So that's kind of the logic of switching them back.
Mayor, I would offer that all the plans for the gas and wash are on the Plan and Zoning Commission agenda from their last meeting. So if anybody wants to look at those or review them, they are on that site. And I, of course, am open for any questions or thoughts that you might have.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Next, Matt, we got a plaque for you. Oh, if you don't mind, come on down, man. I want to say thanks and give you a plaque on behalf of the council. So as I know everybody knows, a couple people here, Matt is one of our aldermen that elected, and just served faithfully, and been a great asset. But he's moving on, right? Going down to Texas, and so won't be able to serve here anymore. But we just want to say thanks for stepping up and doing the job. Because a lot of people don't. And you did. So thank you. Appreciate it. So plaque for the wall. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Awesome. We'll get a picture.
Speech.
Yes, they want to hear a few words from you. I heard Ben yelling.
We'll go back to my post. Well, yeah, I just wanted to, I got a, they used to be called cheat sheets, now I guess they're called cheat phones, but I just wanted to say thanks to everyone for allowing me to be a part of the council, and you know, even though my term was cut a bit short, you know, I think the city's very fortunate to have people like all of you. You know, they're so vested and really truly care about making this community a better place. You know, I lived here for over 2 decades, which has just absolutely flown by. And you know, just so much has taken place over the years, and to see how much the city has grown and improved. And you know, I think that's very evident in what you see here today. So I want to thank the mayor and the council, city staff, the police department, the firefighters, that all of you just always go above and beyond. And you know, in terms of the council, I know that we often tend to agree to disagree, you know, in order to move forward on various topics or projects or whatnot. But you know, I'm very proud in the way that we have done that. We've done it with mutual respect, and by listening and by being open to the opinions of others. So I think that was really what makes me so proud of having been a part of all this. So with that, you know, I won't always be a part of this city, but the city will always be a part of me. So thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Matt. All right, friends. So if there's nothing else, we can jump into business. Good? All right. Lisa, what do you got?
Every other year, this is mostly for the new people, but every other year the city sells a bond, and it's paid back with property tax dollars. The bond just goes out about 3 years, so it's just paid back over the next 3 years. And this is a year that we would sell a bond. We're going to use that bond to fund the resurfacing project for this year. So the bond will be about $2 million, less expenses, of course. So at the next meeting, we'll have the bond ordinance in front of you, and the bond sale will occur that day, and we'll be looking for council to approve it at the July 19th meeting. Any
Questions, concerns?
I just have a question for the future when we go ahead and do this bond in another couple of years. Is there any reason why we can't go ahead and do this like in December or January to go along with our tax levy and during levy time, or is it, because it seems to be mid-year, which is...
Yes, because from the time that you get the money, you have to spend it within so many days. So you have 60 days.
Well, that makes sense then.
It really needs to happen in conjunction with the projects that we have going on.
Okay, well, answers that question.
Lisa, I had one other question. I apologize. I normally shoot you an email. It escaped me. You said this is done every 2 years, but the term is 3.
Right. So they have to stage the payments, and what it does is it keeps the property taxes flat. So they look at whatever increment they could achieve. Our bond advisors help us with this, but they look at whatever increment they could achieve to get this bond paid back, and it's over a 3-year period of time.
Okay. Anything else on that? Thank you. All right, CD1. What do you got, Lance?
Thank you, Mayor. This is related to Resolution 23045 and the building at 902 and 904 South State Street. Could you forward the slide? This is related to the facade and site improvement grant program to repaint the front of the building on your screen, to repaint the upper windows, to basically all the white material that is on your screen there, as well as some of the cornice material that's in the darker color, the decorative things. Those will all be repainted, scrubbed, surface, repaired, and then repainted. The item that was in front of the H&A Commission is the spot that is labeled the repair location. That is a metal piece. It looks like it's wood, but it's metal. When the applicant came into H&A, he asked, all of his bids were related to replacing it with wood. The commission approved a wood replacement, but asked if he could see if there was a metal worker who could replace it as it was originally designed and installed. The applicant was able to find that metal worker. What we at a staff level are recommending to you is, because it was approved as wood and his price was a little bit lower for the wood alternative, but we were able to find a metal alternative to be more true to the historic character, we'd like to recommend that his payments still reflect the wood price, but that the facade grant program would reflect the difference between the metal and wood price that would otherwise be set for the grant program. The bids were in your packet. Basically, what happened is he sent it out for the same 3 bids to the same 3 companies. For the metalwork, only 1 responded to it. The other 2 don't have the custom fabrication abilities to do that type of metalwork, so they did not submit a bid. The grant allows for up to the 50% match to that $20,000. Right now, we are at let's see, $34,195.08 and 8 cents, 21.3% of our budgeted allocation for the year. So we think that this request is well within the parameters, given that we're halfway through the year, and I don't foresee any large requests coming anytime soon. We think that this is a justifiable expense.
All right, questions, thoughts, concerns? All good, you're looking for a,
Consent,
all right.
if
We're all
possible.
good with consent, then we'll put there. Right on. Okay, any new business?
Yeah, new business associated with what we just talked about. I'd like to think about upgrading or amending our ordinance in regards to the facade grants and the sprinklers. We have this money and it's not being used, and it's just accruing. And I know when I originally brought the sprinkler concept, I don't know, 8-9 years ago, whenever that was, I always thought it would be 100%. Versus 50%, you know, so now the city could have very easily have fixed the face of this building, you know, and for 10 grand. And so I just think we need to look at some of these, since it's basically most of the, or many of the buildings downtown, their facades have been improved, and so it's going to become, you know, what is going to be the future need for this grant at 50% when, you know, somebody comes in with a $5,000 overhang, cloth overhang. Let's just pay for it. So 100% instead of 50%. Something to think about in the future.
I had kind of a different idea, and I'm glad you brought this up, was I always thought that the additional funds could possibly go to the summer art series or the stuff that Main Street does, because they are contributing to the downtown area. So that's always been my thought. I've never actually brought it up until you mentioned something now.
Well, that's a good idea too.
We do have, we will be having, obviously, our budget sessions coming up this fall. We could certainly bring a committee of the whole item to kind of go through the grants again and let you know where they are, maybe do a little history of what we've given out, and if the council wishes to change percentages or grant them differently, either as a policy change or at the time of approval. You could also always fund things more. Sometimes we've brought grants that exceed the policy, and the staff will recommend that we're asking for a little extra, and here's why. We've done that, so there's a lot of different ways that we could do it. The gaming fund that we use for that, we also use it for other downtown things. So it is a finite amount, but certainly, the council's discretion can use those funds in different ways.
Well, it is a finite amount. I can remember years ago, the original discussion was as well, if we could go ahead and generate $70,000 a year in video gaming revenue, we'd be doing well. And now we're at about $350,000 a year, okay? And so the original ordinance in regards to the video gaming was for downtown redevelopment. And to be honest, it has basically replaced the entire concept of the TIF. It's funded things where if we hadn't had that revenue and had been specifically for that downtown area, because we know that there's going to be another 350,000, another 350,000, another 350,000, and before you know it, we've got a substantial amount of cash, in a fund that's just, I think it can be used for things such as what Christina just mentioned, just ideas, just different ideas.
If this new building where the bowling alley goes through, that's going to take up a chunk of money.
It is, yeah. We were just talking.
Yeah, so, I think all of that is absolutely worthy of consideration. For those that were on the council at the time when we approved the purchase agreement with 4 Investments, we are leveraging some of those funds to provide a portion of the incentive that goes along with that, and that was in an effort to not impact property taxes or other operational costs in any way. So we have leveraged it in a little bit more liberal way for that, and I don't see, assuming a development is successful downtown, that would stop. But I think that we can absolutely consider some modifications to the grant program if the council would like us to pursue a change to it and present it to you.
And then in a parallel with the talk of especially the TIF, I don't know how we can convince the Lockport Township assessor to actually do her job and reassess these buildings that have been improved. But, there hasn't been, for the buildings that haven't been improved, there hasn't been a change in assessed value in at least 2 4-year cycles, which is great for them because their taxes have gone down while all of our residential properties have increased by about 42% and our taxes have gone up, which is, that's a good and bad thing because it's better than our property values going down, but she's got to do her job. She hasn't done her job. Neither of the two have done their job in the last 4-year cycles. And I would hope that in August that, I don't know how we can convince her to do her job.
When I've talked to them, they have like the way it's structured is, and I'm just paraphrasing, man, I can't remember.
We're in that 4-year cycle.
So in other words, I know they have like a cycle. They don't do it every year. They look at it, so it's a 4-year cycle. So you're saying they missed a 4-year cycle?
They've missed the last 2 4-year cycles.
So they haven't reevaluated any buildings in downtown in 8 years?
Except for Embers and Stagecoach, but none of the other buildings that their value has gone up simply because of the development, the millions of dollars in development that's happened downtown. their property values have gone up, and that's been reflected in the asking price for various properties over the, that have gone up substantially. So it just irks me when I go ahead and I'm doing, comparative property taxes, and I see a building that was assessed, it has an EAV of $65,000 in 2009 and has an EAV in 2023 of $65,000. Well, when we dropped our tax rate and all the other taxing bodies dropped their tax rate, well, they're paying $500,000, $600,000 less
Well, I'll tell you what,
their building value has not stayed equal.
reach out to me tomorrow, and you and I will set up a meeting with them, and we'll have a conversation.
Okay, good. Thank you.
All right. Anything else? All right. Then we'll look for a motion to adjourn. Got Pat and I think Joanne.
No, Renee.
Oh, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That corner where there's a bunch of trees. He's ready for a roll call, so
Indeed, I am. Okay, so Pugh. Karas.
Here.
McDonald. Here. Galogly is absent. Deskin.
Here.
Bergbauer.
Here.
Bartleson.
Here?
Saban.
Yep.
We have a quorum.
all right, we're looking for a motion to have a consent agenda tonight. All right, Jonathan and Renee, all in favor of that?
Before we go through the consent agenda, I need to recuse myself from any discussion and abstain from the vote because there is an item on the agenda in bills that involves the cemetery.
Okay. All right. So we're looking for approval for committee of the whole meeting minutes from June 7th, our regular city council meeting minutes from June 7th, our bills through June 13th, and our payroll period ending June 11th. So we're looking for, all right, Renee and Joanne. And then a roll call, please.
You got it. Pugh. Yes. Karas.
Yes.
McDonald. Yes. Galogly is absent. Deskin.
Abstain.
Oh, that's right. You said that. Sorry. Bergbauer.
Yes.
Bartleson.
Yes?
And Saban.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, first on the agenda items, we're looking for a motion to approve amendment to Chapter 131 of the City of Lockport Code of Ordinances to add the offense of unlawful discharge of a firearm, ordinance 23020.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, Darren and Christina. Was there any further discussion or any other things we needed to discuss on that? I think we're okay? All right, then we can do a roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
All right, next we're looking for a motion to approve the 2023 sidewalk program. not to exceed $175,172. So we're looking for a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Jonathan and Christina. Any questions, concerns still out there?
One of the things, Brendan, if you want to make a comment on.
Sure. Alderman McDonald reached out just to kind of get an idea of, I think, why the bids came in a little bit higher than we had hoped, what we were going to do to try to offset some of those costs as far as getting things included next year, what kind of sidewalks were we going to take off to try to get the numbers where they were. And I think just wanted to make sure that we were going to still be, doing what we needed to do, addressing the trip hazards, addressing those most important. Which, when I responded, provided some information, and it got me looking at some more detail. Since 2018, the numbers on sidewalk have gone up 93.24%, so almost double what our 2018 rates were for a 5 inches of concrete per square foot price. 2018, it was $10.35. That was to remove and to replace. It was $20 this year in 2023. Interesting thing, in 20 and 21, it actually went down. And then from 21 to 22, it went up almost 60%, 59.4%. And then again, this year it went up just over 50%. Just in general, doing again, a little bit more research on the costs across the board, we're looking at about a 40% increase in all construction and all pricing for infrastructure work since 2019. So 2019, if you look at that as our flat line, everything's about 40% more. So what that means is, when we've budgeted $150,000 for sidewalk for 3, 4, 5 years, we're now getting about half of what we got in 2018. So the amount of sidewalk that we're able to do, the amount of concrete. This is certainly, it's not just concrete, it's everything that's out there. It's all of our infrastructure, it's all of the materials, the labor, everything. So I think it's a good time to talk about it, good time just to kind of bring up that if we are going to want to continue to do the same levels of work, $3 million in resurfacing this year is not going to get the same lane miles next year. Sidewalk, it's not going to get the same amount of squares. So it's just some things just to kind of think about, and I think have good conversations when it does come time for CIP, budget, everything moving forward. It's just getting more costly.
Brent, you mentioned cutting back and doing that, and I mentioned trip hazards. How does the residents, if they see sidewalks that are potential trip hazards, how do they report them? You mentioned there's some timing issues as to how to get them this year and next year.
Yep, so what we've done in the past is we've always waited until about May. We've asked that all requests come in through the eGov system or email or phone call to Public Works. And we've waited till May, we go out, we evaluate. It gives an opportunity for the winter to kind of close out, see if there's anything that's new that's settled. But moving forward in an effort to try and, I think, squeeze every dollar we can out of good bids, we're gonna ask for that to be moved up to November of this year. So November, we'll ask for all the requests. We'll go out in December, doesn't snow, knock on wood, until January or February, so it'll give us an opportunity to go out and evaluate, and then go out to bid hopefully in January to try to get the best possible price that we can. So again, I'm not going to say that it's going to shave off the 50% increase that we had this year, but hopefully it will help us at least reduce it slightly. But November is when we'll be looking for next year, so the 24. So anything we cut from this year will be at the top of the list for next year, and then we'll add on based on that.
And Brent, based on what you saw, we only had one bidder show up for the pre-bid meeting. Do you think that affected pricing at all, or kind of the research that you had done outside of that kind of held true?
Sure. I mean, it certainly didn't help. I'm not going to tell you that it was the best option. However, just by looking at some of the other numbers out there, I don't think that it was out of line. It's not great. It's not If we would have had multiple bidders, I think we would have been in the same boat. Quite honestly, a lot of the big players, they're so busy that if they do bid, they're going to give you a number that's 3 times higher than what they really think it's worth. And then if they only were the one bidder, then it's worth their time. You just don't have that same urgency out of the bidders because there's so much work. That was one of the other charts that was kind of neat that I found. The volume of work that's being done has actually gone down because there's less labor out there, but the need, so the demand is actually going up. So demand's up and we don't have enough labor out there to do all the work, and so the volume's actually going down. So kind of everything working against us right now, quite honestly.
Economics.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thanks, gents, for your questions. All right, well, if there's nothing else, then we'll do a roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
All right, next, we're looking for a motion to approve the collective bargaining agreements with the Metropolitan Alliance of Police for our police department and our union operating engineers, Local 150. So these are for the terms 2023 to 2027. So we're looking for a motion.
I'll make that. Go ahead. Whoever said that over there.
Renee?
Renee and Darren?
Yes.
Okay. So where are we at? Let's
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This item for the collective bargaining agreements for both Metropolitan Alliance for Police, which is also known as MAP, Chapter 75 of the International Union of Operating Engineers, known as Local 150. Each term is for 4 years, and actually we're doing a 4.5-year agreement to align our fiscal periods this year. We did meet with all of you in exec session earlier in June to discuss where we were at with status. I'm pleased to report that both of the unions had voted to accept the changes and the current city offer. There were no changes to the police agreement. There was a few minor changes in the red line between the last time you saw it and this time, and I'll cover some of those. But at the end of the day, we've been working on these for a few months and trying to align our fiscal period with starting healthcare contributions and keeping wages to a modest amount and able to do that. We're spreading it out over 5 fiscal periods and including the cost of living increases in those. We got to ratify several memorandums of understanding that we had developed over the last few years between the contract periods. And we brought a lot of state and federal law mandates into these contracts. In your packets, there was a red line and a clean version, and we clarified some of the grievance procedures and arbitration for discipline, for example, in the police. In Local 150, we had talked about some additional operation or stipends for operators. The last time you saw it was a $2 an hour increase. It's now $2.25. It's one of the clarifications I wanted to have. Some minor increases in stipends that didn't cost the city a whole lot of money. Did a few things for parity between the two unions so that they had the same kind of PTO time and things like that. Got ratified. Included some federal per diem changes. So I want to thank Matt and Pat. They both spent some extra time with us, with staff, with the department heads, Lisa and I, working on these and making sure everybody understood where we were. And certainly open to either of their comments if they want to add anything, but we're looking for approval that would take 2 action votes with a resolution 23054 for the MAP contract and a resolution 23055 for the Local 150 contract.
Well, let me clarify that then. So let me do a specific motion to approve resolution 23054.
I just have one comment. I want to thank Lisa and Ben for going through the negotiation with both parties. The documents are not 1 or 2 pages. They're fairly deep, and it was kind of an eye-opening experience looking through this. Brent, you made a comment about the labor demand, and we have a lot of good people that work in the police department and the public works. And if you're a private business owner and you're trying to employ people, it's hard to find good people. So I think we have good people here in the city, and they're being rewarded for their hard work. So I think you guys have done a phenomenal job getting the contracts in order, and appreciate your hard work.
I want to make sure, I think.
And Sunny as well.
Yeah, I was going to say Lisa, Maggie, Sonny, Brent, and Rich were very strategic in these. And so, yeah, it took about 5 or 6 of us to work with all of them. Each membership has about 40 members each, but they have their negotiating teams and represents. But I think in the spirit of cooperation and things are going well in the city operationally, and we have to thank our employees and our union groups for that as well. So.
Just for the record, the motion was made to approve both resolutions.
Is that okay? Can we
Yeah,
do
that's
both at the
okay.
same
Yeah, I
time?
mean,
Okay.
You
All
know,
right.
you could bifurcate it if you think that you have, you know, you want to bifurcate it, but
Okay.
currently it's both.
All right, and I
resolutions.
think we're all okay with both.
Okay.
So, okay, then we don't need to make another motion. All right, anything else? Then we'll do a roll call.
You got it. We have Pugh,
Yes.
Karas.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Galugli is absent. Deskin.
Yes.
Bergbauer.
Yes.
Bartleson.
Yes?
M. Saban.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anything else, friends? All right, and we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Sounds like Matt and Jonathan. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.